Let me start the today's session. In the last class, we discussed about a structure. We discussed about a structures concept. Why do we require a structure? Why do we require a structure? How to create a structure? We practiced one program also. Let me open that program. So whenever at language level, if data type doesn't exist, then you can create your own data type. I am expecting student data type. I am expecting account data type. I am expecting a data type with the name called employee. But unfortunately, with all these names, data types are not readily available in C language. But don't worry, you can create your own data type with the concept called structure. So structures are meant for to create our own data type. Structures are meant for to create our own data type. We can call them as user defined data type. Now, with this example, by looking at this example, can you please tell me what is the structure? If you assume every member is one element, if you assume every member is an element, is it not a collection of elements? Is it not a collection of elements? Absolutely, it is a collection of elements itself. Sir, it is a collection of elements. All the elements here, they are different type. They need not to be different type. The elements may be similar type also. For example, I want to create some complex data type. I want to represent some complex number. As you all know, in our mathematics, complex number can be represented like x plus I, y. But there is no direct support for representing complex numbers in C language. But don't worry, we can create our own data type with the name called complex. We can create our own data type with the name called complex. Then how to create a complex data type? Very simple. Struct, what is the name of the data type? Complex, open bracket followed by closing bracket followed by semicolon. Every complex number contains a real part and imaginary part. So assume I want to take real part integer, even imaginary part also integer. So here structure is a collection of elements, but elements are of similar type. Elements are of similar type. Here structure is a collection of elements, but elements are of similar type. Just 1 minute. So if you observe the two following examples very carefully, account example and complex example, in case of account data type, so here structure is a collection of elements of dissimilar data type. In this case, structure is a collection of elements of similar data type. Structure is a collection of elements of similar data type. From these two observations, we can conclude what is a structure means. Structure is a collection of either homogeneous / heterogeneous elements. So maybe in some interviews, people may ask one question: why do we require user defined data type? Sir, why do we require user defined data type? లాంగ్వేజ్ లెవెల్లో చక్కగా కొన్ని ఫండమెంటల్ డేటా టైప్స్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేసినప్పుడు నీకెందుకు డేటా టైప్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం వచ్చింది? వాట్ ఇస్ ద రీజన్ బిహైండ్ అండ్ వై డూ యూ రిక్వైర్ టు క్రియేట్ యువర్ ఓన్ డేటా టైప్? సో ద సింపుల్ ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ టు రిప్రజెంట్ one business entity information in a flexible manner. What is that? Whenever if you want to represent one business entity information. Sir, what is that business entity information? For example, while developing a library application, what is the business entity? While developing library application, book. So if you want to represent book information in a flexible manner, definitely we require a data type with the name called book, so that we can represent book information in a flexible manner. Suppose while you are developing any school level application or college level application, I want one data type with the name called student. Assume I am developing a factory related application. I want one data type with the name called employee. I am going to develop some banking application. I require one data type with the name called account. Some shopping application, online shopping. So I am expecting a data type with the name called item. Sir, if these data types are available, so that I can represent this business entities information in a flexible manner. So user defined data type లేకుండా కూడా వీటిని రిప్రజెంట్ చేయొచ్చు, బట్ అంత ఫ్లెక్సిబుల్ గా మనం రిప్రజెంట్ చేయలేము. If we create our own data type with the name called book, with the name called student, with the name called employee, we can represent these business entities information in a flexible manner. So we got some idea what is a structure and why do we require a structure, and why do we require user defined data types also. Now, without discussing all these fundamentals, absolutely it is waste of time to go or to start data structures concept. Once we are familiar with all this terminology and fundamentals, then you can understand any difficult topic in data structures dead easily. ఈ ఫండమెంటల్స్ అన్ని ప్రాపర్గా నేర్చుకొని తరోగా ఉంటే డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్స్లో చెప్పుకోబోయే ఫర్దర్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ ఏవైనా చాలా సింపుల్గా అర్థం అవడానికి స్కోప్ ఉంటుంది. నౌ కమింగ్ టు ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. Sir, is it compulsory the structure must be declared or defined here itself? Not required. Happily you can define the structure inside the main function also, no problem at all. Even inside the main function also, happily you can create, no problem at all. Now one more point. So whenever if you want to create any variable of our own data type, all these days we used language fundamental data types, built-in data types or primary data types. All are same only. లాంగ్వేజ్ డెవలపరు మీకోసం క్రియేట్ చేసిన డేటా టైప్స్ని యూజ్ చేసుకున్నారు. ఎలా యూజ్ చేసుకున్నారు? యూ డిక్లేర్డ్ వన్ వేరియబుల్ ఎక్స్. సార్, ఎక్స్ ఈజ్ ఆఫ్ డేటా టైప్ ఇంట్. సో యూ క్రియేటెడ్ వన్ వేరియబుల్ సిహెచ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆఫ్ టైప్ క్యారెక్టర్, char type. You declared one variable avg, it is of type float avg. So you are declaring one variable of that particular data type is nothing but you are using that data type. So once after creation of our own data type, if you want to use your own data type, you have to create a variable. మీరు క్రియేట్ చేసిన డేటా టైప్ని యూజ్ చేసుకోవటం అంటే దానికి సంబంధించిన ఒక వేరియబుల్ని క్రియేట్ చేయటమే. వన్స్ స్ట్రక్చర్ వేరియబుల్. సార్ వాట్ ఈస్ స్ట్రక్చర్ వేరియబుల్? హియర్ A1 is a structure variable. Once if structure variable is created, sir, once if structure variable is created, automatically sufficient memory is reserved for all the members of that structure. For all the members of that structure, using structure variable, any member if you want to access, there is some operator called a dot, member selection operator, A1 dot a name, sorry, A1 dot acc number. So always the member of a structure must be accessed using structure variable. Now I have a small doubt. Is this much lengthy code is required to declare a variable every time? Do we require to write a struct account, struct account like that to declare any variable like this? Do we require this much lengthy name? No problem, you have some solution for this, don't worry. Then you should start this structure with one keyword called a type def. We are defining a new type. Sir, we are defining a new type. Type def means we are defining a new type. For the struct account, I am creating some alias name, some shortcut name. నేను ఎక్కడైనా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్లో ఇంత పెద్ద పదం వాడాల్సి వచ్చినప్పుడు దీనికి ఒక ఆల్టర్నేట్ క్రియేట్ చేయబోతున్నాను. దెన్ దట్ ఆల్టర్నేట్ నేమ్ ఈస్ ACC. సార్ వాట్ ఈస్ దట్? ACC. So that instead of struct account, happily you can use ACC A1. Sir, what is A1? A1 is a variable. It is of which type? Is it integer type? No. It is ACC type. ACC of which data type? Is it a language given data type or a user created? Myself I created. Is it original name? No, it is an alias name given to struct account. How the alias name will be created? By using one keyword called type def. Sir, by using one keyword called type def. So remember, whenever your structure definition starts with a type def and ends with one name, this name will act as a some shortcut name for this lengthy name, struct account. ఇక్కడ రాసినటువంటి ఇంత పెద్ద వర్డ్కి ఇది ఒక షార్ట్కట్ నేమ్ లాగా యాక్ట్ చేస్తుంది. ఎప్పుడంటే స్ట్రక్చర్ డెఫినిషన్ గనక టైప్ డెఫ్ అనే కీవర్డ్తో స్టార్ట్ అయితే. ఐ హోప్ ఎవ్రీ వన్ అండర్స్టూడ్ దట్. సో యూ కెన్ క్రియేట్ లైక్ దిస్ ఆల్సో. జస్ట్ యూ కెన్ రన్ ద ప్రోగ్రామ్, యూ విల్ గెట్ ద క్లారిటీ. క్లియర్? నౌ లెట్ us come to the one more example. Write a program to create student data type. Not student, student, okay. Student data type with the following members. Every student will have student name, every student will have roll number. So student will have some total marks obtained by the student. Is there any data type defined at a language level with the name called student data type? Language level of student ane పేరుతో data type untunda? No. There is no data type with the name called student. So language level లో మనకు ఒక data type లేకపోతే మనం data type ని క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చా అంటే yes, you can create. How to create? By using struct. What is the name? Student. Open bracket followed by closing bracket followed by semicolon. What are the members? Student name. Is the student name is having one character or group of characters? Array of characters. So char s name, student name of some 50. Next one is that roll number is of which type? Roll number is 101, 102. Generally it is integer followed by even total marks also integer. Now I am going to start this structure definition with one keyword called a type def, and I am going to give some shortcut name for structed student as student or stu. Now main will be the entry point of the program and return 0. Student S1 comma S2. Student S1 comma S2. So if you assume this is the main memory, sufficient memory is reserved for to store student name, roll number and total. Sir, this is for student name, this is for roll number, this is for total. And sufficient memory is reserved for another variable, and this total memory can be accessed by using S1, and for this memory what the name given, S2. Sufficient memory is reserved to store the details of the second student also. Separate copy will be created for S1, separated copy has been created for S2. So these two are structure variables. These two are which variables? Structure variables. So if you want to assign total marks for student 1, how to provide? What is the structure variable? S1 dot total. Sorry, S1 dot total equals to sum 999. Sum 999. Now observe that. So student S1, I want to read the data. Sir, I want to read the data. Printf, enter student name. Sir, enter student name. Scanf percentage S, comma S1 dot SName. S1 dot SName. Sir, is it mandatory to use ampersand symbol? Is it mandatory? We will check that. So printf, enter roll number. Enter roll number, comma total marks obtained by the student. Total marks obtained by the student. Scanf, roll number is integer, percentage D, marks also. Ampersand, to whom I want to assign? For student 1. To which member? Roll number. To whom you want to assign? For S1. To which member? Total. Total. So this is the way how to read the data. Now can you please print the total information? Backslash n. First name I want to print, after a tab character. Roll number I want to print, after a tab character I want to print total marks. Student 1 dot SName, student 1 dot roll number, student 1 dot total marks obtained by the student. Now let me save the program. Student.c. Let us see, is there anything? What is the mistake I did? So in C language, to make it as a comment line, 2 forward slashes. In Python, if you want to make it as a comment, as I followed the Python model, but this is C programming. 2 forward slashes. Now let us compile the program. What the mistake I did? Struct, keyword spelling mistake. So enter student name, Pavan, roll number 125, total marks obtained 999. So Pavan 125, 999 is the data given by the user at runtime. By the user at runtime. Sir, if I remove ampersand symbol, while reading the name, what will happen? If I remove ampersand symbol, what will happen? Now observe that. Let me run the program one more time. Again Pavan, 147,000 marks obtained. Still it is capable to read the data and successfully stored the data in SName. Whether you observed or not, I don't know. I removed ampersand symbol. Sir, I removed ampersand symbol. What is the story? Sir, what is the story? Why you have removed ampersand symbol? Even though if you remove ampersand symbol, how it is working? So this is somewhat interesting point about arrays concept. So all these fundamentals are absolutely required to practice or to write any data structures program, even though it will take some time. No problem. We will try to cover each and every basic point what is required for learning data structures. Now, assume I am going to create one array int x equals to 14 comma 24 comma 30 comma some 45. Sir, this is the way how to create an array. This is the way how to create an array. Maybe some people are having some confusion. Sir, you didn't specify the size. No problem. This is the initialization statement. During initialization, in the initialization block, how many values are there? That is taken as the size of an array. In the initialization block, how many elements are there? That number will be taken as the size of an array. We are not required to specify the size. Remember, during compilation, compiler can understand that how much memory has to be allocated. Every element is integer. Total of 4 elements are there. So we are using DAY-C++ IDE to practice our programs, in which we are having GCC compiler. Under GCC compiler, every element take 4 bytes. So 4 blocks of memory compiler has to allocate. Sir, every block capacity is 4 bytes. 14, 24, 30, 35. If you assume the starting address is 1000, 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003 is allocated for the first block. So the next will be started from 1004, 1005, 1006 and 1007. Then after same story 1008, 1009, 1010, 1011 and 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015. Remember this interesting point very carefully. So many addresses are there. 1000, 1001 up to 1015 we are having so many addresses are there. In the memory block, every memory cell will be given some address. క్లాస్ లో ఒక 60 మంది స్టూడెంట్ ఉంటే ప్రతి వాడికి యూనిక్ గా ఐడెంటిఫై చేయడానికి రోల్ నెంబర్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో, మెమరీ బ్లాక్ ఈస్ కలెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ సో మెనీ మెమరీ సెల్. ఎవ్రీ సెల్ ఈస్ ఐడెంటిఫైడ్ విత్ ఇట్స్ నెంబర్ అడ్రస్. Among all these addresses, this address is called as a base address. Among all these addresses, 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003 up to 1015, among all these addresses, the starting address will be considered as a base address. Sir, the reason is, if you specify the base address, automatically remaining addresses are next to that memory block. Starting address తెలిస్తే మిగతా అడ్రసెస్ అన్ని దాని పక్కనే ఉంటాయి. బికాజ్ ఇన్ array the memory is reserved. Continuous memory blocks are reserved for an array. So the starting address is very important. How many of you know this point? I don't know. Sir, this address will be kept securely in array name itself. This address is pointed by the array name itself. Array name itself holding the address. Array name itself holding the address. Once again I am repeating, array name itself holding the address. Any variable holding the address is called as a address variable, and we can call it as a pointer. I think most of the people don't know about this fundamental point. Array name itself acts as a pointer. Sir, array name itself acts as a pointer. A pointer can store the address. Then array name can point to which address? Not all memory addresses. It will point to the base address of an array. Sir, is there any proof? Is there any particular proof? And can you prove that practically? Whatever the explanation given, can you please prove that practically? Like if you are going to ask me, we will practice one program. and I will show you practically whether it is right or wrong. Let us open your Dev C++. Prove that array name itself act as a pointer. Main will be the entry point of the program. Main will be the entry point of the program. Return 0. Now int x equals to 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. I want to print address of the first element. Address of first element. Sir, what is the first element? 10. To print the address, you can use a percentage u, unsigned integer. Percentage u means what? Is there any chance for negative values in the addresses? If anybody will ask you, what is your house number? Sir, my house number is minus 273. My house number is minus 400. People will laugh at your face. No chance negative numbers will come in the place of door number or flat number or addresses. If anybody will ask you, what is your roll number? My roll number is minus 101, minus 102. Is there any chance a negative value will come for roll numbers? In the same way, memory blocks are identified with their addresses. Sir, addresses, there is no scope for negative value. When you want to print a positive value, it is unsigned integer. The first letter is letter U. Percentage U will represent unsigned integer. So when you want to print address, percentage U, whose address you want to print? In the array first element. First element will be located at which index? 0th index. Do you want to print element located at 0th index, or do you want to print its address? Address I want to print. Ampersand. Now I will show you the same thing in a different way. Why to type the message once again? Let us copy this line. Let me paste it here. Sir, address of the first element. Or you may call it as a base address also. First element address ne base address antar. So ఇప్పుడే కదా మనం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసాం. బేస్ అడ్రస్ ఎవరిలో కాపీ అయి ఉంటుంది? ఒక పాయింటర్లో కాపీ అయ్యింది. ఎవరు ఆ పాయింటర్? ఎవరు? array name itself is a pointer. Array name enti? X is the array name. Sir, X is the array name. Now let me save base.c. Now let us run. Now, what is the address of the first element? 7568, 7568. Now, will you accept that? Everyone, will you accept that array name itself will point to the base address or not? Base address or not? Now, based on this, I am going to ask you one question. Suppose test followed by x comma 5. X comma 5. This is something called function calling. We are calling a function called test. For that we are supplying two inputs. First one is array. Second one is some normal value. Whatever the inputs you are supplying, we call them as arguments, or another word, parameter. Parameter. At the time of calling a function, whatever the inputs you are supplying, these arguments are called as actual argument. Now, I want to develop the function called test. The function called test. How many parameters I have to create? Two parameters. Two parameters. First one A, next one N. Sir, second parameter is of integer type. So int A, int N. First parameter integer, array of integers, array of integers. So int followed by pair of square bracket. Sir, am I required to specify the size here? Not required. For formal parameter, you need not to specify the size. You may have a doubt, sir, why size should not be specified? array అన్న తర్వాత arrayని డిక్లేర్ చేసినప్పుడు సైజ్ చెప్పాలి కదా అంటే you are passing array as an argument means what? Suppose if it is an array, 5 elements are there, assume like that, or 4 elements are there. 1000 is the base address. At base address 10 we have, 20 we have, 30 we have, 40. If you are passing array as an argument means the base address is pointed by whom? Array name. మీరు array name ని ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ గా పంపిస్తున్నారంటే వాల్యూస్ ని ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ గా పంపించట్లేదు. ఎవరిని ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్ గా పంపిస్తున్నారు? అడ్రస్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫస్ట్ ఎలిమెంట్. when address is passed as an argument, is it a call by value na call by address? When address is passed as an argument, is it a call by value na call by address? Sir, it is a call by address. Now the question is, any changes made using formal parameter, those changes are reflected back to the actual parameter or not? Definitely. Sir, that is the concept of the call by address. Call by address style enti? Formal parameter use chesi meer etuvanti modifications chesina aa modifications anni actual parameter ki reflect avutundi. Are you getting my point here? Sir, those changes are reflected back to the actual parameter. No doubt at all. So remember, in the interview, the person may ask one question. When array is passed as an argument, is it a call by value na or is it a call by address? What is your answer? The answer is, it is call by reference, or you may call it as a call by address. Sir, it is call by reference or it is meant by call by address, right? Now I will show you practically. I want to print all the elements of an array for I equals to 0, I less than n, not n. 4 elements are there. So here I am sending 4, I less than 4, and I plus plus. We didn't declare the variable I. I want to print all the elements of an array one after another. Percentage d, element is stored in the array x. Every element at ith index also. So before that I want to print one heading also. What is the heading? Elements. I am going to print the elements. Now let us copy these 3 lines. Paste it here. Sir, paste it here. Now in between I am calling a function. So we are passing array as an argument. Int I for I equals to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. Sir, x of I equals to x of I into 10, sir. Every element, not x, sorry, it's my mistake. A of I equals to a of I into 10. అంటే arrayలో ఉన్న ప్రతి ఎలిమెంట్ని 10తో మల్టిప్లై చేస్తాను. arrayలో ఉన్న ఎలిమెంట్స్ ఏ ఉన్నాయి 10. It will become 100, 200, 300, 400. But whatever the changes you made in this function, is that changes are going to be reflected back to the actual parameter or not? I want to check that. So let me run the program. Did you observe that? So the changes are reflected back or not? So before calling this function, elements are 10, 20, 30, 40. Once after function is called, whatever changes you made in this block, those changes are reflected back and the values are multiplied by 10. It become 100, 200, 300 and 400. Now one more point you have to observe. Sir, Why should we have to represent the same code here itself? Is it not code redundancy? Is it not code redundancy? Repetition of the code you should avoid wherever it is possible. Repetition of the code you have to avoid. Repetition of the code you have to avoid wherever it is required. Wherever it is required. Then what should I do? Identify the repetition of the code. Sir, this is the code I have identified. You can remove that repetition of the code. You can remove that. Can you please remove that? Okay, I'm going to remove. I just removed that. So you create one block of statement with that repetition of the code. ఏ కోడ్ అయితే నీకు రిపీటెడ్ గా కావాలో ఆ రిపీటెడ్ కోడ్ తో ఒక బ్లాక్ క్రియేట్ చేయి. So you can make it as a function. You can make it as a function. Sir, how can I make it as a function? Just assign some name. Sir, what is the job of this block? To print the elements of an array. So why don't you write the name display? Function name followed by open parenthesis, closing parenthesis. So whenever you want this job, you call this function. Whenever you want this job, you call this function. So I want to display. So display. ఎవరిని డిస్ప్లే చేయాలి? array x ని. ఎన్ని ఎలిమెంట్స్? 4 elements. That's it. Now we have to receive that. Sir, we have to receive that. How can I receive that? Int first array. So array can be received with array itself. Int a followed by pair of square bracket int n. And here one local variable we have to declare, variable I. We are using variable I. We have to declare that. Sir, if after calling test function I want to call display x comma 4. X comma 4. So just if you want to reduce the code redundancy, repetition of the code ne control cheyalante, what is the best choice? Just create a function. Sir, after displaying every element of an array, do we require to return any response? Not required. If you are not required to return any response, you can write the return type void. Return type void. You can see the same. What is the mistake? So here array name I used a. So that is the reason we need to modify that. Understood? I got the same answer. I got the same answer. So don't get confused. At the time of developing so many concepts in structures, entire program has been divided like function, another function, one more function. Sir, which one will come under call by value? Which is a type of call by address? How should I know? You verify whether at the time of calling a function, are you sending the value na address? If you are sending the value, it will come under call by value. If you are sending the address, it will come by call by address. What is the difference? When you are calling a function with the values, any changes made in the called function by using formal parameter, those changes are not reflected back. కాల్ బై వాల్యూలో మీరు వాల్యూస్తో ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ను పంపిస్తున్నప్పుడు ఏ చేంజెస్ జరిగినా ఆ చేంజెస్ రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవ్వవు. కాల్ బై అడ్రస్లో మీరు అడ్రస్ని ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్గా పంపిస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి ఏ చేంజెస్ జరిగినా ఫంక్షన్ లోపల ఈ చేంజెస్ ఒరిజినల్ ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్కి కూడా రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతాయి. నౌ కమింగ్ టు ద కన్క్లూజన్ ఫర్ టుడేస్ సెషన్. Now, let me conclude with the last point. I want to create a pointer to a structure. I want to create a pointer to a structure and I want to allocate memory dynamically. So it is a program on dynamic memory allocation, and also it is a concept on pointer to a structure. Sir, pointer to a structure. Which data type you want to create? Sir, I want to create employee data type. Open bracket, closing bracket, followed by semicolon. I want to give some shortcut also. For struct employee, I want to provide some shortcut. That shortcut I can mention here, EMP. Every employee will have employee name. It is a character array. Sir, every employee will have employee number, E number. Every employee will have some experience, float value. That's it. Now, what is EMP? EMP is another name given to the struct employee. Program lo ekkadana meer struct employee ni use cheyalsina place lo shortcut ga EMP anandi. Main is the entry point of the program and return 0. Main is the entry point of the program, return 0. Now, I want to add some header file. Every day we are not using stdio.h. It is a good programming practice. And also we need to include stdlib.h, standard library header file. Sir, what is the use of standard library header file? Here I am going to use malloc function. malloc. I want to allocate the memory dynamically. Okay. malloc. I want to use malloc. So, for whom you want to allocate the memory? For whom you want to allocate the memory? For one structure variable. For one structure, I want to allocate the memory. So, size of EMP. Sir, size of EMP. How much memory this structure is going to takes place. So you want to create one structure variable or two structure variables. For example, I want to create an array with n elements. I want to request, can you please allocate the memory for elements dynamically? How could I use the malloc function? malloc n elements. Every element is of integer, so that size of int I can write. So here, for only one structure variable, you can write, for better understanding, 1 into size of EMP. Now, it is going to return the address in the form of a void pointer. We need to typecast that into corresponding data type EMP star. Void pointer should be converted into employee pointer. Now, this address should be, someone should hold this address. This address is hold cheyali. For that reason, I am creating E1. Sir, whenever any variable is holding the address, is it normal variable or address variable? It is an address variable and we can call it as a pointer. How to declare a pointer? Every pointer is preceded by star. Is it integer pointer? No. Is it a float pointer? No. It is a pointer of the type EMP. Sir, it is a pointer of the type EMP. Now I want to read the data. Employee name, employee number, experience. Now printf, enter. Can you please enter name? Scanf, name is a string, something called ampersand. Am I required to use ampersand for array name? Array name address and represent చేస్తున్నప్పుడు మళ్ళీ ampersand ఎందుకు? Ampersand is meant for to get the address. Array name address and represent చేస్తుంది. Now, how can I access this member of a structure? E1. Sir, can I use a dot? Sorry, you can't. Because is that E1 is a normal variable or pointer to a structure? Pointer to a structure. If you want to access a member of a structure using structure pointer, we have some other operator called arrow operator. So direct ga మన keyboard lo arrow symbol ఉండదు. hyphen followed by greater than symbol. So when should I use this operator? When you are trying to access the member of a structure using structure pointer. Now let me conclude the program. Enter employee ID, comma, experience. Now I want to read the data. Scanf, ID is integer and experience is float value. Now ampersand to which variable? Employee number. Employee number is a normal or member of a structure. Member of a structure. That member of a structure can be accessed with whom? Either with a structure variable or structure pointer. What is the structure pointer? E1. What is the operator to be used? Arrow operator. Okay. So next value to be copied to whom? It should be copied to exp. Exp how to access? Using structure pointer followed by arrow operator. Now I want to print all the details. Sir, I want to print all the details. First string, after one tab character, employee ID, after one tab character, I want to print experience. So first ename. How to access ename? Using structure pointer. E1 arrow operator, that's it. E1 arrow operator, employee number. E1 arrow operator, experience. That's it. Now emp.c. So any syntactical mistakes we need to cross check. No mistake is there. Kumar, employee ID 111 and experience is 23 years 6 months. Excellent. I got the out. Kumar 111 23.6. So many points we covered here. How to create a structure pointer, even dynamic memory allocation for a structure. Dynamic memory allocation for a structure. If you want to access member of a structure using structure pointer, which operator to be used? So ఈ పాయింట్స్ అన్ని ఫర్దర్ గా మనం డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్స్ లో మనం డిస్కస్ చేయబోయే టాపిక్స్ లో చాలా యూజ్ అయ్యే టాపిక్స్. ఈ ఫండమెంటల్స్ అన్ని డిస్కస్ చేయకుండా డైరెక్ట్ గా డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తే యు మే నాట్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఈవెన్ పాయింట్ నాట్ 1% ఆల్సో.